Okay, fire away.
How long do we have?
About an hour again. You don't have to use the whole hour. It's okay.
I will try not to. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken. I don't know what Dr. Wood said about me, but some of it might be true. I'm entrepreneurship. Is that 4 or 5 syllables? It's always hard for me to say 5 syllables.
It's 5.
It is 5,
Yeah.
isn't it? Usually I get lost in this somewhere. And
I
mumble it through,
understand.
so.
I understand.
Congratulations on having a qualified professor like Dr. Woods here.
Thank you.
I don't know if he mentioned that we have the same alma mater as far as undergrad, but my MBA came from Cal State Bakersfield, and this was the class that my first MBA class was in. It was a management class, and I'd been out of school for almost 30 years. I sat back there, and I didn't know what in the hell I was getting into. You need to remember that these weren't invented when I was in college, right? So all of a sudden I had to do PowerPoints and stuff like that. On our family farm, okay, I'm a family farmer. I don't know if Dr. Woods filled you in on that. We farm 2,500 acres. We've been doing it since the late 1920s. My grandparents immigrated from Denmark about that time. And so the stock market's going up, right?
In 1929?
No, right now.
Right now.
Right, things are going up now. What happens after a lot of prosperity? There's always a recession at one point. And that was the opportunity that my grandparents took. In 1930, they, was anybody at the last class? No?
I don't think anybody in this class is in that.
They could
No,
fact check.
there's nobody in here that was in the other class.
Oh, okay, so
Next one.
if I tell a different story, then nobody will correct me.
No.
Okay. So in 1929, there was a real big stock market crash, which is a depression, literally, which is what? Recession squared or cubed or something, I guess, right? That's how we'd think of it.
Yes.
My grandparents had the opportunity to buy their first piece of property from, it was a foreclosed piece of property from the Bank of Italy. Anybody familiar with the Bank of Italy? Come on. No?
It has a different name today.
Has a very different name today. So they took somebody in their marketing department.
I got it.
There you go. Well done. Somebody in the marketing department said you could probably increase your customer base if you call it the Bank of America, and you wouldn't have just a bunch of Italians coming in. Okay? Because there was. We're not going to call it racism in this sense, but maybe the German and the French people didn't like the Italians, so why in the hell would they go to the Bank of Italy type of thing? So they seized that opportunity and bought some property with basically very little money down because they had no money when they got here. They were able to, now we farm 2,500 acres. It's almost all of it's family owned and operated, managed by myself, my father, and my cousin, who's my partners. And we're doing fairly well at it. We're not. We're not super aggressive, and we're not the innovators. You guys are familiar maybe with that now? I've talked about that before.
Yep.
The innovators, the early adopters, the late adopters, and then you want me to do that?
If you want, I'm just making it available to you.
Okay. As far as adopting technology and the next great idea or something, you'll have the innovators, then the early adopters, then the late adopters. This is a new technology. And then the laggards. The laggards are those that keep everything to themselves. They don't change crops. They don't change the design of their product. They keep serving the same. Okay, anybody involved in a family business around here? Restaurants, gardening, mechanic shop, that type of thing. Those are family businesses, right? And if you continue to serve the same hamburger or the same rice and beans forever and didn't move on and put it on a nicer looking plate like everybody else has, whether it's a square plate nowadays, which I still haven't understood, but or add some garnish to it like people do now, or some different spice, the spice of the times, you know. Maybe throw a little curry in there on the rice or something like that. So those would be the laggards that never change anything, never change their hamburger, okay? The late adopters come after the early adopters. So when I got out of college, I would think our family was right about here. Now I consider our operation early adopters. We're changing our crop plan, our product line, if you will, what we sell. We're trying to stay ahead. Russet potatoes. We grew russet potatoes for 30 years and did a very good job at it. I really enjoyed growing russet potatoes. But the demand for russet potatoes, the bakers, you know, when you get a big baked potato, you guys probably never order baked potatoes. If you were given the option of baked potato fries or sweet potato fries, how many are going to have the sweet potato fries? Baked potato? This might be scary here. Okay. There. And then the French fries? Okay. So the baked potato seemed like it's gone out of the favor. You know, the steakhouse, you order steak, and the guy from Tupelo, Mississippi, said at the steakhouses you give them a big old potato, a little bit of piece of meat, and they go home with their bellies full. Right? Customer satisfaction. So, but sweet potatoes, I noticed my kids were ordering sweet potato fries so a couple of years ago, so we started growing sweet potatoes, and we're doing very well at it now. That's adopting, that's changing your product line. The innovators are most of the time they're the most successful, but it's because they have the deeper pockets. And they're usually the larger companies that can get away with it. They can do more R&D, research and development, and that type of thing. I can't afford to because I would be, any mistake or failure would be money out of my family's pocket. If you're working for a huge corporation, they can afford to do those types of things. So I'll never be up here, but I like to consider myself here. Changing your crop plans, changing and adopting and adapting to technology that's at our fingertips. As I mentioned, computers. In the 1980s, all payrolls were still done by hand. Payrolls were done. You took your calculator, you had a 10-key calculator, and you multiplied it for the FICA, the Social Security, the disability insurance, and any retirement plan you had, federal withholding, state withholding. You did all of that mechanically with your hand for every employee. Now you put in the number of hours or what his salary is, and boom, there's the net pay for your check. We had to adopt or adapt to that, and we did, and that was a big move for family farms or family businesses. Maybe some of the businesses you're involved in still handwrite checks. I would venture to say most of you use a payroll service or something like that. Excuse me. Technology, we're going to get to some questions here in a little bit.
Kent, while we're on the topic of new technology, I just wanted to mention as well, there's two groups that I had sent your direction as well. One that's working on drones and one that's working on smart irrigation. The drone group is right here in front.
Okay, it's the drones. Okay.
The smart irrigation is the whole second row there.
Okay. Very good.
So
Smart irrigation.
Putting some faces.
Well, then what we're going to talk about is adopting to technology. One of the questions was, Erica? Okay. Do you see your business using drones for agriculture? Yes, drones are being implemented right now as we speak. Whether it's for crop protection, more than anything, crop observation. You know, it's a lot less expensive to fly that drone around to observe things, whether it's through infrared or just visual itself. There's been talk about using drones for pesticides, that type of thing. They will not create such a tumultuous pattern or blow-by or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the proper term for that. that is some technology. My personal experience, a pesticide company sent me a drone, and I was flying that thing around in the office, and I took it outside, and I looked the other way, and it was gone. It's still going somewhere. So I'm not allowed to fly drones anymore. It went out in the field somewhere, and we still haven't found it. So the technology, drones are a lot of fun, but they're going to be a hell of a great tool in the future if they're not already for, like I said, observation and implementation and doing work itself. A cheap, non-carbon emitting tool, if you can say it that way. One technology, since I have this one up here first, something that we've adapted just in the last year. The technology has been around for a couple of years. We grow almonds, 700 acres of almonds, 600 acres of grapes, and then the balance, the other 1,200 acres, is row crops: tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, garlic, and sweet potatoes. The number one pest for almonds. Almonds are, California grows 80% of the world's almonds, 80%. And let's go back to that. 70% of what we grow in California is exported. So you have to be careful what you wish for. I'll mention this. 70% of our product, you guys drive up and down I-5 or 99, there's a hell of a lot of almonds in this area, this county. And almonds are very nutritious. You can be used for a lot of things, whether it's almond milk, almond butter, snack almonds, almonds in your cereal. The list goes on and on and on. Almonds just, no other nut. 2 years ago, almonds surpassed peanuts as the number one snack nut. The cost of peanuts is minimal compared to a pound of almonds. But we sell more almonds, pounds of almonds, than they do peanuts for snacks. So that's due to a lot of the efforts of the Almond Board of California, which I'm glad to be part of. Okay, the number one pest of almonds is called the navel orangeworm. Even though it sounds like something from citrus, it's something that will chew in the almonds and make a mess if you don't watch it. 2 years ago, we had to spray 4 times for that particular pest in order to keep the worms out of your almonds. We can't sell you almonds that are half eaten by worms. The American public is not willing to put up with that. So there's something called mating disruption. Anybody familiar with that technique? We'll call it a technique. Yes. It's using pheromones.
I have kids.
Gotcha. As a matter of fact, my cousin, when I brought it up, he says, "I don't want anything to do with mating disruption. Don't put the mating disruption around my house." So that is funny. It's a pheromone that confuses the male when it's time for the female to be bred or mated with. It confuses him. It's a puff of it's a pheromone that just drips like a perfume, if you will. Okay, so the male gets confused because there's all this scent floating around that smells like the female, and he can't find the female. It's a cover so that she can't be bred during the mating cycle. So these pheromone puffers, you've seen canisters up in a corner of a room, maybe in a public bathroom, that sprays out that's a pheromone. It's like an air freshener. Same thing. So that pheromone, this is it works to the extent of that we only sprayed twice this last year out after 4 the previous year, and maybe only once next year. We're going to buy all in on it. And what we're doing then is reducing the number of passes through the fields, which is less carbon emissions, and we're also putting fewer pesticides in the air. And the idea is also a cost savings and to have a better product, which is what it always comes down to. So the pheromone puffers, we have 1 per acre, and they puff, and they're on a computer. It's real-time based. I'm going to show you some. I'm going to try to show you. Well, we don't. No, won't bother with that. It really works. This is the technology that we're adapting to. Up in the state of Washington, they use it in their apples for the same reasons, and it's really working now. This is something that's fairly new. The emitters, the 1 per acre, it can be programmed to emit only between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., which is when the females are flying. Then they shut down the rest of the day. And then that canister is refilled once a year. It really works well. We have, so I can go on my desktop or wherever I am, and I can look here, and this is the block, and here's the check field next to it. So this is year to date, there was 0 caught in the trial field, and the check field, which had no pheromone puffers, had 78 and 58 moths in it. And that's the moths are on this. Every night, at whatever time it is, it takes a picture, and then they add them up. And we know how many moths flew in that night. We know the pressure of the number of insects. That's technology that's gotten us that far. The irrigation, let's go to that real quick too, maybe. Yeah. So soil moisture probes, this is the irrigation group here.
Irrigation group is second row.
So we also have real-time soil moisture probes. We put them 5 feet in the ground, and every foot they measure the amount of actual soil moisture. You can see the different levels. You'll see the drawdown. If you've seen any pictures like this, so I can literally sit at the desktop and decide when to turn on the water and when to turn it off. See if I'm oversaturated or undersaturated. Technology in the fields of the modern day farmer now. So that puts our operation up here, we're moving on up. You have to get up, you have to move forward to seize the opportunities. If you stick around and wait, then you'll be too late. You will have lost the opportunity to prosper. Sometimes you make the wrong decision or the technology doesn't work out, So it goes from there. I mentioned something about exporting. We recently had a presidential election, and so we export 70% of our crop from almonds goes overseas. When I say overseas, out of the country. Canada's one of our biggest importers or exporters, customers. Yeah, go ahead.
No, grapes too.
And grapes. Grapes go out overseas also. Grapes, we don't grow any table grapes ourselves. We have grape juice concentrate. But so our new president says he's going to make America great again and everything else, and he wants to raise the strength of the dollar, and he wants us to be more self-sufficient and reduce trade. Well, I as a grower don't want that. I need trade and exporting ability. Who believes that a strong dollar is good for the exporting farmer? No. As an exporter, you want the dollar to be weak so that we can sell them more pounds. I said this before, the only time that I want a strong dollar is when my wife goes to Europe on a vacation and then she can get more euros for $1. Okay? Just think of it that way. That's the only time you really want the dollar to be strong, if you want to be selfish. If you're trying to sell something overseas, the dollar's weak, they'll buy more pounds or more units. That's how that works. You mentioned grapes. We also
Yeah, because I've done most of that for a while now. I've been in the fields of doing grapes. We have
table grapes.
table grapes. For example, we had some Chileans come through. And they're always checking the fruit and see how it is, and whether it has a good shape, the weight.
In Chilean, yeah. So yeah, they import too. A lot of the California growers have their entity in Chile, also, and Mexico. So they can provide grapes year round is the whole idea. Yeah, they do, and they're very good at that. Yeah. Do you work in Sunworld?
No, my father works for the Vignolos, Tom Vignolo. He's been working with some Pacific for a while.
Okay. That is a big operation. Yeah. Our grapes of our 400 of our 600 acres goes to, we make grape juice concentrate, and grape juice concentrate is utilized in a lot of kosher. Is a big. We provide a lot of kosher grape juice concentrate. If you have a juice that's not sweetened, that says no sugar added, they can put grape juice concentrate in there because it's the right kind of sugar for you, as opposed to cornstarch sugar or corn syrup. So it's a healthy sweetener is what it is. I'm familiar with Ocean Spray. Everybody's had an Ocean Spray beverage at one point. Mm-hmm. They are our about 4 years ago, they were our number one customer. It had 35% of our business, of our processing plant, 35%. And we were just doing well. We were doing well. Then Argentina shows up with a bunch of extra product, breaks the market. Ocean Spray and everybody else, they call it reformulated to utilizing their product as opposed to ours. We had a few really rough years because all of a sudden we lost 35% of our business. Really lost it. So don't have, what I'm talking about is diversification. You guys are familiar with that. If you only have one product, yeah, you're going to sell that one product to whomever, but you're really at their mercy if they pull out on you, and we found that out. We've since gotten Ocean Spray back because the Argentinians, their quality was not nearly as good as ours. So we won them back with quality, but it took a while. We lost a lot of money waiting for them. So anyway, any further questions at this point?
I don't see any right now.
What made you choose the agricultural business? Well, I was born into it, and I enjoy somebody asked, what's your favorite time? I guess it's when all the crops come in. Myself and our employees, we carry 20 employees year round, and it swells up to 200 or 300 during certain harvests. We utilize farm labor contractors for such, and some of those guys, I think there's almost half of them worked for us for 30 years. Those employees, they're very valued employees. I've watched their kids grow up, and their kids have kids. Some of them live on the ranch, some of them don't. So it's a family farm. Quite often has family members that participate. Well, we got 3 brothers, the Contrerases, and then 4 Maganyas that work for us. So anyway, it's kind of a family atmosphere. It's really bad when somebody passes away in Mexico and all 4 of them have to go to the funeral at one time. But anyway, favorite part is during harvest when the crops come in, because then it's also the opportunity to start planting again for next year. With annual crops, you get to make these changes on an annual basis. If that didn't work out last year, if you either did a poor job of growing it, this is not say growing it, producing it. Whatever you're producing in your business, whether it's a service or it's a product, like you need to change it at once in a while. If you don't, you'll get left behind. When I got out of college in 1981, we were growing cotton, alfalfa, and then some grapes. And we don't grow alfalfa or cotton anymore. And most of those grapes have been pulled out and planted a different variety. And that's in 33 years. It's changed that much, which is a long time for you guys. I understand that, but it's not that long for me. So. Dr. Woods, any questions? What advice can you give people who have farms? Plant the right seed. How's that? Is that your question?
No.
No.
I thought that was a good answer.
Plant the right seed. It's that simple.
Why is that?
Well, who knows what the right seed is, Dr. Woods?
Well,
I'll let you know.
I'm asking
okay,
you.
we think about that. Entrepreneurship. You need to think about what should I have done 15 minutes ago, right? Because you're already in the future from 15 minutes ago. what could I have thought of 15 minutes ago that would put me in a better spot now, looking ahead, right? That's what we're trying to think. What should I have done 15 minutes ago, and just continue to think like that. You put yourself up in this spot, yeah, there's better opportunity for failure also. So if you all of a sudden, you roll into, I live out in the Arvin area, if you rolled into Arvin and started a restaurant that sold some obscure food. What's an obscure food that wouldn't sell in Arvin?
Obscure food that wouldn't sell in
Brazilian
Arvin?
food, yeah. Brazil, I don't know. Huh?
She said nothing.
I was going to say Brazilian food. Okay, open a Brazilian food restaurant in Arvin, you're probably not going to make it. I don't know if it's any different than Mexican food, but so the innovation part of it, sometimes you're not going to find the right product for what you need to do.
That's an interesting answer.
Are you really passionate about the egg business? Yes, I am. I've been part of this for a long time. I'm happy with what I do. I cannot imagine doing anything else. I have the opportunity. Also, the question is, how do you get it? How do you become a farmer? So we're to say that the scale that you have to be at to operate nowadays, the mom and pop with 20 acres that they got from a land grant or something like that, that doesn't happen anymore. I'd probably need to be, you can be as an employee or in the management side, but as far as a true owner, it's very difficult. You either be born into it or marry into it. So, and that's the reality. At one point, we were a large family farm, and now we're just a family farm. We're a medium-sized family farm. The benefits of being bigger, as far as buying power, you guys are familiar with that. So you can buy your products, your ingredients, whatever it is. In this case, it would be seed and fertilizer. Buy them in bulk at a lower price, just like you would if you were a restaurant chain that had 6 stores as opposed to 1. And if you were a gardener, you could go in and buy 6 lawnmowers instead of 1 and probably get a break on that. So he's going to have more chance of success. It's going to always work that way. You're not going to fight it. All you can do is do a better job on the small. If you're in a smaller scale, just trying to do the better job. Do I left anything else?
There's various questions I think would be useful.
What are the biggest challenges you face in the agribusiness? Water and labor. Drought. Okay, everybody's familiar with the drought. Our water table is lowering. Yes, we are drilling deeper. We are lowering our wells. It's a bad situation. At this point, there are no rules or laws for you girls to keep drilling deeper and deeper. You live right next to each other. So you drop down to 400 feet, and that's where then the water continues to go down. She drops down to 500 feet. You're mad at her because she's taking the water. Then you drop down to 600 feet. You're both chasing the water. Who has the longest straw, right? That's exactly what you're doing. There's no laws against that. Whoever has the pockets that continue to lengthen their straw to pull out more water will continue to do that. There is a law it's called the SGMA, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which will get us back into a proper balance over a number of years. It's going to take 15 years, 20 years to get us back to a sustainable level. When I say sustainable, farmers, remember, we're the original environmentalists. We've been around for a long time. We're not here for one day and gone the next. Many of us own the ground we live on. I live on the farm on a dirt road. So you're chasing this water down, 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 down. And it's just getting deeper, it's getting more expensive, it's higher electricity costs to pull it up. The farmers, we spend a lot of money on electricity to pump the water out of the ground. We also have rivers, like everybody's familiar with Lake Isabella, the Kern River, that supplies a lot of our fields, particularly on the south side of Bakersfield, all the way to the Grapevine. You can just almost generalize like that. Then part of this is Central Valley Project. But when Lake Isabella has a lot of water in it, we're all better off because we're not pumping as much of our groundwater. Lake Isabella is known as surface water. You've heard that term probably too. It snows in the mountains, it snow thaws, drains into Lake Isabella during the spring and summer, and then it comes down the Kern River into the farms. So, Kern River used to have water in it year-round. I don't know if any of you have seen that. As many as about maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it flowed all year long.
Really?
Yeah.
The actual riverbed. Wow. Not a lot of water in there right now.
No, not today. No, and that's water management again. Whose water is it? Water is free, right? It comes from up above. Whose water is it? Who has rights to it? If you're an attorney, maybe you want to get into water. If you're thinking about water law or water management, water management is a sign of the times. There'll be a lot of jobs that will necessitate monitoring of all of these agricultural wells and implementation. And there'll be entities literally. There'll be businesses starting, if they haven't already started, that help monitor your wells as far as testing equipment and that type of thing. It'll all be web-based at one point, and the state will know when I have my pumps running and all of that type of thing. And if I pump too much water that year, they'll shut me down. It will become managed. It won't have, you two girls won't be able to just keep drilling and drilling and drilling. You'll only be allotted so much water per year at one point. And that will get us back to a sustainable level, hopefully raise the water level a little bit, and then make sure we don't ever draw down like that again.
So, Kent, is there a subsidy paid if you're not farming land that you otherwise would be able to farm?
There could be a water market where I decide to go to the beach for the year, and I sell Jeremy, Dr. Woods, my water. I said, "You need some extra water? Here, write me a check. Here's
Okay.
my water." But you can't take it out of my jurisdiction. You can't send it to the Mojave Desert or something like that. You have to keep it within your water area type of thing. But there'll be water markets, and people make a lot of money on that, and some will lose a lot of money on that, just like there always is in the free market. Yeah. There'll be winners and losers. We can guarantee that. And I'll be one of those guys back here. I won't get involved in that too much. I'll just continue to try and farm at a responsible level. So I'm pretty sure of that. Dr. Woods, where
I
do you
think an
want to
interesting
go?
question here is, do you believe being a third-generation farmer gives you a competitive advantage?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So we're out, we farm in the west side of Arvin. They're at our main shop and barn where the tractors come home to rest every night and where our mechanic works out of. There's a GPS antenna. So our tractors utilize it to make them go straight down the row. And once he's in the field, he doesn't touch the steering wheel. The GPS handles that, and he goes straighter than is humanly possible with the GPS technology. So that antenna is sitting on top of the barn, but right below that is where my grandfather, so my cousin and I bought the antenna, but my grandfather used to keep his mules, his plow mules, down below. So that's in 3 generations. We've gone from mules to a GPS antenna. And who knows when you guys get my age what the next technology is. If you can understand what that is or find it, I guess that's why you're here with Dr. Woods right now, to try and figure out what is the next great thing. Maybe it was GPS 15 years ago when nobody knew that they could actually apply it to a farm tractor. Come on, farmers don't need to go straight. They've been driving crooked all their lives. But I have a picture in the office of my grandfather behind a 4-team set of mules plowing. And that that was in the 30s, so I wasn't born at that point, by the way. But that within the 3 generations, that much innovation has happened in Arvin, California. So what do you guys think in the next 20 years? Is that what you're trying to figure out? Where should I position myself in order to prosper, find the right spot? That's what it's all about, right? What should I have done 15 minutes? What should I have done 15 minutes ago?
Yep.
Next.
Well, I appreciate what you were doing because that was speaking to this class. I think that was a great investment of your time. So there's 2 questions here that are
I
similar.
apologize for being late. I was on a 1-hour conference call with the Almond Board of California, and they went over an hour. So that's what I was late.
No problem. Eduardo, who was right there, and Brenda both had similar questions. First of all, is there any advice you can give people who have farms? And then what advice would you give to farmers who are struggling to save water? I mean, you've addressed some of it, but from one farm owner to another, any particular advice?
If you're struggling to save water, what was the first question?
Just general advice to another
Concerning
family that has
water?
a farm, and then specifically about conserving water.
Work with good companies, and just as good processors and salespeople. Just like any other type of business, there's good people and bad people. You can get stuck. Quite often a grower produces tons and tons of wheat. Let's just say wheat. He sells them to either Pillsbury to make bread, right? Or he sells them to this other guy that's going to give him a nickel a ton more, and promises him a nickel a ton more. But he delivers, the guy advances him 50%, and then he only gets 30% because something happened during the transportation part. So the guy reneged on a decent contract, right? That happens to growers all the time, especially the smaller growers. Only work with reputable people, reputable suppliers in any of your business. If you're going back to the restaurant, only work with the reputable ones. The other one, or the ones that you have a good relationship with. We work with Del Monte. We've sold to Gallo before. These are people that probably aren't going to screw us, though. It becomes, there's an act of faith. You can put everything you want to on contract, on black and white, but in the long run, how did it end? So, and then the water management. If you're having water problems, is that what it was?
It was just, do you have advice for conserving water to another farm?
We've spent a lot of money conserving water and energy. We use drip line irrigation. Now, you guys familiar with those black hoses that you see out in the field, whether it's on almond field or a vineyard? And that's really cost savings. It's distribution. It's called DU, distribution uniformity. So you get uniform irrigation throughout the field. You don't overwater. We use the soil moisture probes to monitor the actual moisture in the ground. The old furrow water irrigation type of thing, that's the sign of the time. It's in the past. It's a cheaper way to apply it, but if you have abundant water and free water, yeah, go ahead and do it. We spend a lot of money configuring our reservoir systems. You guys drive by the farms and see those big square reservoirs that have water in them. They're usually about an acre big or something like that, or half an acre. The pumps pump water into them, the groundwater from your pumps that are down at 500 feet and 600 feet. If you're familiar with peak and off-peak hours, between 12 and 6 p.m. during the summer months, spring, summer, and fall, if you pump that irrigation well, this is how they have their ag people set up. That pump, if you pump between 12 and 6, it costs twice as much as the other 18 hours of the day. So it behooves us to not pump during that time. So we build bigger reservoirs, bigger infrastructure to hold the water. It's a reservoir. It's literally what it is. And then we have energy conservation then. And that's the name of the game. Also nice to put fish in it if you like to fish.
Here's one very
Or frogs.
One very specific question that I think will be helpful for Jen here, but I think other people may not have asked it, but it'll be relevant for them too. I've got multiple job offers from agriculture in sales, production manager, even inventory control manager, but I don't know anything about agriculture. Do you think it's a good idea for me to take the job?
Yes.
This is Jen here, by the way, that asked it.
Who was it? Okay. Yes.
And there may be other people in here considering the same question.
You're
Do you want to
blessed.
take
You
an ag
have
job?
no preconceived problems. You have not been led in the wrong direction yet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yes. If you're willing to learn and you have the right mentors and, well, particularly new bosses that understand, you didn't bullshit them and tell them you knew everything about farming, did you?
No.
Good, good. Because you will get caught at that too, by the way. Yeah. Watch out for that.
Here's what I'll be interested. I'll be particularly interested to hear your answer to. Was it extremely beneficial to attend Stanford for your undergrad school, or if you had to do it over again, would you have attended CSUB for all 4 years? Actually, all 6 if you add the 4 plus your 2 for the MBA.
I was honored. Football helped me get into Stanford, but I graduated in 4 years. And I would do that again in a heartbeat. I didn't know for sure that I was going to come back and farm, but I thought I probably did. But that experience was fantastic. Whatever you do as an undergrad, make the most of it. I had that opportunity, and I was blessed. So, and I do appreciate my experience here at the university. As I've said before, call it the university. It's the only university in town, right? Don't call it Cal State. Just call it I'm at the university. I'm not at the college. The college is Bakersfield College. You're at the university. Make yourself proud. Make other people realize that too. I'm very proud of my MBA. Took me a long time. I waited until the kids were out of college themselves, and I was able to did the MBA program, and it probably should have done it earlier in life. I don't recommend waiting as long as I did, but doors open after you get that. If you're sitting looking for positions or people notice, that graduate degree from Cal State University of Bakersfield, it's been very helpful to me, very beneficial. I know everybody's familiar with Blue Diamond Almonds. I'm on the board of directors. I was elected last month to the Blue Diamond board. So
I didn't realize it was that recent. So last time we talked, you weren't on the board.
I wasn't on the board.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I represent Tulare and Kern County for Blue Diamond Almonds on the board of directors. Blue Diamond is a $1.6 billion company. So now there's a grower from Arvin that represents them.
How many members of the board are there?
There's 9 members on that board.
Okay.
Yeah. District 1 is Chico. District 9 is Tulare and Kern. So we have 3,000 members.
So you guys have here, speaking to you right now, one of only 9 members of the Blue Diamond Almonds board.
No, it's an honor, and I guarantee you putting MBA on there on my bio, my election statement, my campaign statement helped. Because that means that I've been through enough of it. This isn't an MBA course today, but please consider that when you finish your undergrad. Take a couple of years off. Don't take off 25 or whatever I did. Don't wait that long. Too much technology will change, and you'll have cobwebs. I'd never done a PowerPoint in my life, and I had to learn how to do PowerPoint. Thank goodness I had some nice young ladies that were in their 30s that helped me along with that. Cost me a lot of almonds too, by the way.
I bet it did. I'll chime in with a little comment on that too. It all depends on what you want to do. Mohammed, do you have a question? Hang on one second. Let me finish my comment and then your question. I think it all depends on what you want to do. If you want to do something around Kern County, if you want to do something in agriculture, oil, or aerospace, there's no better place that you can go than right here. When I look for contacts locally to speak at events, to come to class like this, my LinkedIn is full of Cal State alumni that are the movers and shakers and the leaders of this community. If you want to go do something in Germany, if you want to go do something in Russia, if you want to go do something in Japan, Stanford has a unique sort of global footprint, but there's a lot more people that are useful in your alumni network here locally from Cal State than there ever are from Stanford. So I actually met Kent at a Stanford alumni event, but it's very rare that I meet anybody from Stanford around here. It's all Cal State. So it all depends on what you want to do. Mohammed, what was your question?
What about the almond tree?
Yeah, I want to know why you get the almond tree when you don't have enough water.
Oh, so that's a good question. You're putting me on the spot. Almonds.
So
To grow almonds, it takes 3.5 or 4 foot of water per year per acre. We put on that much water. Why are we continuing to plant? Because there's still money there, right? Why? Because we can keep drilling our wells. It's a very profitable crop. What will eventually happen with this Sigma that I mentioned, we'll retire some of that acreage and we'll continue to grow almonds because they are profitable. Almonds are a Mediterranean crop. There's only a few spots in the world that can grow almonds. You have to have, what is Mediterranean crop? You have to have a sense of dormancy where it freezes so the trees can go to sleep. Then you have to have a spring, summer, 110 degrees isn't good, 100 degrees is fine. And you have to have a fall when the nuts are ripening that doesn't rain all the time and ruin the nuts. So there's not too many places in the world like that. Oregon's not like that. And then San Diego's not like that. It never freezes there. The tree would never go dormant. So almonds are only grown in a few areas.
There's only like 5 Mediterranean places, right?
That's correct.
Around the world?
In Chile, there's an area. There's Australia, South Africa, a little bit, and then
the Mediterranean.
And then in the Mediterranean itself. And as we say, it's a Mediterranean crop for the Mediterranean diet, which says it's healthy for you. The Almond Board of California. You remember President Obama about, I would say 6 months ago, they were talking about he was eating almonds. He would eat 8 almonds every night before he went to bed. Well, there's a lot of, that's good for you. Almonds are very nutritious as far as cholesterol and all that other stuff. And President Obama, or Mrs. Obama, the First Lady, she probably goaded him into that because she'd heard from the Almond Board of California how good almonds are for you. You know, and they literally are good for you. They're a good source of fiber, and
they make you smarter, right?
Well, that's what I was going to get to. I think there's, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, in India they actually believe they feed their children almonds every morning because it makes them smarter. And the Almond Board of California, I'm the vice chair of the Almond Board of California, which is another honored position. The MBA didn't hurt on that either. We're doing cognition studies. We're doing studies all the time as far as nutrition and health and across the board. Right now we have one, we're funding a study at Penn State University together with Hershey's chocolate, the health benefits of dark chocolate and almonds together. You've heard dark chocolate's good for you, right? Mm-hmm. Just in what do you call it, the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Moderation.
Moderation, thank you. So we're funding that study as far as the healthy aspects of that. We're also funding cognition studies in Korea and India right now to see if there is some early, I've seen some of the slides, here's your brain on almonds, and there's more waves going through it or something with a simple MRI type of wave. You know, your brain on drugs, your brain on, anyway. But there, as far as enlightening brain waves or something like that, there must be something about that. If that's proven, we won't be able to plant enough almonds. We'll have to export water from somewhere else in order to plant more almonds. But at this point, it's a healthy crop for California. It's not labor intensive. Labor is one of the issues. I'm not going to get into the political side of labor right now because that's an issue that nobody wants to, I don't want to discuss. But some crops that we continue to plant around here are labor intensive, and who knows what the future is on that.
Ken, you got a question here?
Yes.
Do you get mad when photographers take pictures in your almond orchards?
Not at all.
You don't?
I'm proud.
That's cool. Wait, where are your almond orchards?
You can take.
They're in Arvin.
So you're familiar, you know, Main Street Arvin, Bear Mountain Boulevard. We're along Bear Mountain Boulevard. Generally, remember this, Valentine's Day. Okay, it's a special day, right, for everyone or not. But usually the week after Valentine's Day, all the orchards are blooming. So most growers, mind you, there are bees out there. We use the bees for pollination. But if you're allergic to bees, watch out. But most growers do not mind. They actually like it if you go out in the fields.
I've gotten kicked out of so many almond.
You what?
Jen's got a small photography company.
Yeah, I've gotten kicked out of
You
like.
got kicked out?
Yeah, and people say you're supposed to ask for permission, but I'm like.
We have.
Place where you can go.
There's a Blue Diamond. Almond Breeze is a Blue Diamond milk. They came to Arvin and filmed that commercial in our orchard
Oh, really?
during bloom.
Really?
They brought this Hollywood. I'll say Hollywood. They're from somewhere down there. They bring in the buses and all the cars and the actors and actresses. They didn't use me as a grower. They had this handsome guy.
Oh, man, they should have used you.
Yeah. The Almond Breeze commercial, if you ever see that, it was on during the Olympics, and anyway, that was filmed in Arvin. And they just rolled in, and they couldn't understand the great outdoors like that. Our dog's out there walking around by himself. They'd never seen a dog that wasn't on a leash or behind a fence. They'd never understood that. And that was a pretty good experience.
Any other particular questions for Ken? You may have addressed this before, but I'll end up on I think the same one that I asked you to end up on last time. What's the most rewarding thing about being a farmer?
Watching the crops come in and being able to pay our employees and thank them for another year. And they always come back to work for me. So there's a lot to be said for that. I live on the farm. Not all of us do, but I do, and I enjoy it. My wife came here from Cleveland, Ohio, and she'd never lived in the country before, and now you couldn't move her back to Cleveland. So that's it.
Okay, well let's all give Ken a big round of applause. Thank you, then you have a little less than 2 hours to yourself before class. Kent, thank you very much.